All right, everybody, Tim here from Workshop 12. We're going to go through the 370Z and we're going to walk through the installation process of being able to get your Brainiac plastics installed into the dashboard. So depending on whether or not you have an automatic or a manual transmission, pulling out these trims could be different. For the automatic, you actually have to get a little bit of wedge in on the plastic and take the plastic out separately. I believe on the standard we should be able to just get our fingers down in there and pull, and you can hear it pop and free up this this area here. So this allows us just to kind of pull this out of the system, and as you can see at the bottom, we're going to expose a couple different plugs on here. One's for the hazard and one's for what looks like S mode on here. So we're able to then disconnect these different connectors on the bottom. So we can then just pull this up off of our trim here. You can disconnect the connectors on the bottom if you like, or just set this aside to kind of continue going. Now, in here, there's a few other different screws. So there's two different bolster pieces here that are going to come off. You've got your main kind of waterfall surround that's going to come out of here as well, and then your actual climate controls and stereo system. So right off the bat, we're going to see that we've got a couple of screws in here that we're going to take out to be able to loosen up our side pieces. Alright, so now that we have those different screws loosened up, we should be able to take these side pieces and just pull on them to be able to pop them out. One, you just kind of push out to the side to pop them. That's two. So that now has the two side pieces off of there. And then we've got a couple other screws here. So we see that it exposed two different, in this car, silver screws. These are the ones that are holding this surround piece in. So we can take those out as well. Once you have those two screws out, you should be able to just pull on this waterfall piece here to pop it free. So you can see it just jiggles free, wiggle at it to be able to pop it out. Now, there are two connectors for the push to start and the passenger airbag indicator here, and we'll need to disconnect those two connectors on the back there as well. So that has our main waterfall piece off here. We'll take a look when we do our installation of what we need to take off of the back in order to get the plastics to fit. But that's another step. We now have that removed from the car. Last bit is there's a couple of screws here, two on the bottom, two kind of midway up. And these are our final pieces that actually two on the bottom and two right at the top that are going to connect the stereo in. And there's a couple pieces right back on the back support here as well to release the actual stereo unit itself so that everything comes out. So we've got, looks like we have a total of about 6 different bolts that we need to take out. So we'll remove those too. Here, we should be able to then just grab the stereo and wiggle it out. Now, what you'll want to do as you pull this out is disconnect all of the different electronics off of the back of the radio as well. So sometimes you just need to get into the back and be able to make all those disconnections. Now, as I do acrobatics in here, one of the things that you can do, there's a unit on the back of your whole climate control radio unit here, and this is going to end up staying in the car. Now, good thing is that plug is crazy to try to get out. So what you're able to do is there's a torque screw on both sides of the unit, and you can just undo those to be able to take this off and tuck it back into the dash. That actually will give you access to the plug on the back of the climate control as well. So it's quite handy just to remove these screws and take this unit right out, because that way we don't have to worry about fiddling around with the plug that's on the back of it. So we've got our two screws to take out on the back. And then from there, we should be able to remove that piece of plastic out of the unit. Again, this we don't need, it's just part of the actual car. We can just tuck it back into the back there, and now we have our climate control out. And what we'll be doing next is disassembling this, so we can actually take off our different pieces here to be able to bring the climate control out and then fasten it onto the back of the Brainiac plastics. So that has the dashboard disassembled. Now it's just the pulling the pieces off and reassembling everything from the Brainiac side of things. First thing that we're going to do on both sides of the stereo is we need to take these brackets off to be able to give us access to the screws for the climate control. Now these are a Torx bit, just the same as the one for that little control module that was in the bottom. So all we got to do is go ahead and remove each of these screws so that we can get this bracket off of the stereo. So now that we've got the side pieces off, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws to be able to remove, then we can pop the climate control right out. Alright, now we've got the climate control unit out of the holder. Okay, so we have everything that we need here to be able to put the kit together. So the kit comes with all the plastic pieces that you'll need, the trim pieces. Here we've put some primer on this, some black primer on this, and sanded it down. It's been attached to this other piece that comes with it. A couple of brackets. We've got the main tablet cradle that's already pre-assembled. It's got all the magnets in the corner that you'll need. And we have some little loopholes here down at the bottom that you'll see as well. So if you want to put a zip tie through there to be able to hold your cables so they don't fall back down into the dash, if you're taking your tablet in and out, those cables falling back into the dash can be a little bit annoying. And then we've got the magnetic faceplate as well that's got the magnets on it. All the screws and hardware come with the kit. And then all you're going to need is a red Roberts, so a Roberts screwdriver and a Phillips screwdriver to be able to put everything together. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our faceplate here for the climate control, and we're going to slide the climate control into that. And we'll see that it lines up to a hole here at the bottom that we're able to use the small, shorter screw to be able to put that in. So grab my screwdriver, and we'll fasten this guy in. So I tighten him up, and I've got him fastened here. Now the next step, and I just put a little sheet down here just to protect any kind of scratching you might get on the faceplate, so we're going to attach these brackets. So we've got some longer screws here now, and we're going to line up these holes on the back, the bottom and the top, and we're going to put in some of these longer screws. And we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. So now we have our brackets attached on the back here, and what's going to happen is these are going to slide in and be some connection points for the top. So we've got 2 connection points here and 2 connection points here to hold everything together nice and sturdy. So if we take our top piece now, we're able to essentially slide this down into these pieces on the back here. And we're going to line up these holes that we see here with the brackets that we have on the back. So when I line those up, I've got these holes now that I'm going to connect 2 of these longer screws through again. Fasten those in tight. Same thing goes with this side. Line everything up. And the last bits are there's 2 small little screws down in here to connect that faceplate on, and we've got a couple small little Phillips screws that we can put down in here. Use our Phillips head screwdriver and anchor those to the faceplate for the climate control, and we'll put the other little screw down in here as well. Make sure that everything's nice and tight so it all lines up. And that gives us our fully assembled unit. And then really all that's left to do is take the magnetic piece to snap down on top. So that has everything all assembled to be able to put in the car. You want to get the tablet out, just take the faceplate off. We have a tablet here where we can just slide it in. We'll make sure that the camera hole is lined up with the right spot. Press it back into the holder, and we've got our faceplate that then goes on over top and connects with magnets. So that gives you the whole kit assembled with all of the magnets and everything ready to go. So I suggest typically popping your tablet out of there to be able to do the final step of assembly into the vehicle. Last step that we have to do before putting everything back in the vehicle is we need to remove the top center pocket out of the plastics here. It's held in with 4 different screws. Essentially they're holding the vents on and creating a sandwich that holds that all in place. So we're going to remove these vents to pop them off, pull this out of the middle, put the vents back in, and then we'll be ready to put it back into the car. So we'll just go ahead and unscrew each of these. Alright, you will probably notice we had a bit of a different color change on the car. Didn't change the interior, different car. First video that we were doing, we started off for a Mark 1 kit. So now we're finishing up and showing kind of the final installation of putting in the Mark 2 kit into the vehicle. So just like we had assembled, we now have our full piece that's in here. You're going to take your plug that's in the back of the plug for your climate control. You're going to plug that into the back of your existing climate control, and then you're going to essentially run any USB cables or audio cables or stuff like that through here to be able to kind of have them available to plug into the tablet and then feed them back into the dash. But putting this back in is basically the reverse order in which you've taken everything else out. So you'll find all of the factory mounting holes are all going to line up, and we'll see that we've got 4 screws to be able to put back into the vehicle. So I'll just grab my screwdriver here and we will do that assembly. One. Get this wire out of the way. 2. 3. And number 4. So now that you have everything screwed into place, you're now going to grab your factory vent pieces that are on here. You're going to connect your 2 connectors again for your push to start and your passenger airbag detection on here, and you're going to put those back and clip them in. For the sake of time, I'm not going to plug those in right now, and we're just going to slide this back into place. Okay, so we're able to push the plastics down into place here. So that has everything all nice and fitted in here. Last part is take some of the screws that we took out here on the bottom, and we're going to put those back in place as well. We replace the factory holes down here so that everything connects back the way that it should. And then we're going to put our side bolsters back on here. So this one is here. this one is here. And then we're going to reconnect any of our connectors underneath and then slide them back into place as well. And snap everything down. From there, we've got our magnetic trim piece here that snaps in place into the dash. So now we've got our magnets that holds everything in. If we want to pry it off, we can pry it off. And we've got our tablet that we can throw in here. Making sure it's the right side up. Push it in nice and snug so it's in all the way, because we don't want any clearance problems. And then we're able to snap our trim piece on over top. And that has everything all installed into the dashboard. So that's a quick tutorial on how to make everything all work. Like I said, all you'll have to do in here is just do your connections of your electronics. Obviously, we did some of this for speed. If you're using our Mark 1.5 electronics, you can just plug everything into your factory harnesses, use those cables to plug them into your tablet, and you are good to go.